It was July 4th, 1776, when leaders gathered in Philadelphia's Independence Hall to announce a new nation's birth. The Declaration of Independence was written by a committee of 5, including Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Benjamin Franklin. It was signed by representatives from the 13 original colonies on the Eastern Seaboard. But the country that began with a declaration from just 13 colonies has today grown into a nation of 50 states and territory over 14 times larger than its original landmass. Stretching from the Atlantic to the Pacific and up into the Arctic, the U.S. now covers over 3.8 million square miles, making it the third largest country in the world after Russia and Canada. So how did the United States expand, through rebellion, purchase, and war, to become what it is today? Let's find out. It all started in the 1760s, when Britain defeated France and its allies in the 7 Years' War, claiming new territories in North America. Though Britain emerged victorious, the war was financially devastating. The national debt soared past £133 million, prompting Britain to impose new taxes on its American colonies to recover the losses. But the colonists were furious. They insisted that without representation in the British Parliament, they should not be taxed. Their slogan was simple: no taxation without representation. The taxes and resulting unrest sparked the American Revolutionary War in 1775, and on July 4, 1776, the 13 colonies declared their independence from the British Crown. These colonies, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, and Rhode Island, became the foundation of the United States, occupying roughly 270,000 square miles at the time. Following the declaration, the Revolutionary War escalated. France and Spain, colonial powers opposed to Britain, sided with the American revolutionaries. The U.S. emerged victorious, and the Treaty of Paris in 1783 not only secured independence but also transferred vast lands east of the Mississippi River to America. That territory, originally gained by Britain after the 7 Years' War, added approximately 600,000 square miles to the new country. Although the U.S. had expanded westward, the Appalachian Mountains presented a major barrier, preventing large-scale settlement. Eventually, Americans began navigating through New Orleans and the Mississippi River to reach western lands. But New Orleans was under French control, and President Thomas Jefferson feared that France, or any enemy, could disrupt access. Jefferson aimed to buy New Orleans from France for up to $10 million to secure trade routes. In a stroke of luck, Napoleon, needing funds for war in Europe, offered to sell not just New Orleans but the entire Louisiana Territory, stretching west to the Rocky Mountains, for just $15 million. In 1803, the U.S. purchased over 828,000 square miles from France in what became known as the Louisiana Purchase, one of the largest and most significant land deals in history. America essentially doubled in size, buying land for just 3 cents an acre. Still, U.S. and British-Canadian border lines remained unclear. In 1818, both countries agreed to use the 49th parallel, 49 degrees north latitude, as the boundary from Minnesota to the Rocky Mountains. They also agreed to joint occupation of the disputed Oregon Territory for 10 years, which was later extended indefinitely. Next came Florida, which was under Spanish rule. As American settlers began moving in, tensions grew between them and Spanish forces. In 1819, Spain agreed to cede East and West Florida to the U.S. under the Adams-Onis Treaty. While no purchase was made, the U.S. agreed to pay up to $5 million in claims related to prior skirmishes. This deal added over 77,000 square miles to U.S. territory. By now, America had stretched from the original 13 states to the Rocky Mountains and was eyeing the Pacific. The next big break came from Mexico's miscalculation. After gaining independence from Spain in 1821, Mexico invited American settlers to populate the northeastern region of Texas. These settlers soon outnumbered native Mexicans. When Mexico abolished slavery in 1829, the American landowners resisted. They revolted, declaring Texas an independent republic in 1836. Though Mexico fought back, it couldn't reclaim the territory. For nearly a decade, Texas remained independent. until it was finally annexed by the U.S. in 1845, adding over 268,000 square miles. Meanwhile, the Oregon Territory, jointly occupied by Britain and the U.S., became a political hotspot. Its borders ran from the 42nd parallel to 54 degrees 40 minutes. Some Americans demanded all the land, rallying behind the slogan, 5440 or fight. However, with tensions rising with Mexico, President James Polk chose diplomacy over war. In 1846, Britain and the U.S. agreed to extend the 49th parallel westward as the boundary, giving the U.S. around 300,000 square miles in the Pacific Northwest. Having reached the Pacific, the U.S. now set its sights on California and the Southwest, still under Mexican control. America offered $30 million, but Mexico refused. Tensions over Texas's southern border led to war in 1846. After Mexico's defeat, the U.S. secured California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and parts of several other states in the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. This Mexican cession added nearly 750,000 square miles for just $15 million, half the original offer. In 1853, the U.S. bought an additional 30,000 square miles from Mexico in the Gadsden Purchase for $10 million, completing the continental expansion. Within just 77 years, America had grown from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific. The next major addition was Alaska. Once a Russian territory, Alaska was difficult to govern due to its vast wilderness, harsh climate, and sparse population. At the same time, Russia was increasingly concerned about the threat of British expansion from neighboring Canada. But there was another strategic reason. Russia wanted to shift its focus toward the Far East, particularly Outer Manchuria, a region it had recently acquired from China's Qing dynasty. Concentrating resources on consolidating control over this new territory, later known as Russian Manchuria, seemed far more practical than holding on to a distant North American outpost. So in 1867, in a move driven by both pragmatism and profit, Russia sold Alaska to the United States for just $7.2 million, adding over 586,000 square miles to American territory at a cost of less than 2 cents per acre. Then came Hawaii, a strategically vital group of islands in the Pacific. American missionaries and businessmen had already settled there and gained significant political influence. In 1887, they secured U.S. rights to build a naval base at Pearl Harbor. In 1893, a group of American settlers staged a coup against Queen Liliuokalani and installed Sanford B. Dole as president of Hawaii. By 1898, Hawaii was officially annexed, adding more than 10,000 square miles to U.S. territory. That same year, after winning the Spanish-American War, the U.S. acquired Puerto Rico and Guam, adding over 5,000 square miles. These territories remain U.S. possessions today, though they aren't full-fledged states. Their residents are American citizens but lack full voting rights. In 1915, the U.S. also purchased the Virgin Islands from Denmark for $25 million. Though small at just over 130 square miles, they hold strategic importance in the Caribbean. Beyond these, the U.S. later acquired several tiny islands in the Pacific and elsewhere, such as American Samoa and Baker Island, through various treaties and arrangements with colonial powers. These remote territories, though small, expanded America's global presence significantly. From a fledgling nation of just 270,000 square miles in 1776, barely clinging to the Eastern Seaboard, to a global powerhouse spanning over 3.8 million square miles. Today, the rise of the United States is nothing short of astonishing. In just a little over a century, the country multiplied its territory more than 14 times through bold diplomacy, calculated purchases, fierce battles, and sometimes sheer luck. This explosive growth not only redrew the map, but also reshaped world politics and power dynamics. It's a story of ambition, strategy, and relentless expansion that continues to echo through history. If you enjoyed this journey through America's territorial evolution, don't forget to like the video, share it with fellow history lovers, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping stories from the past. And let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Your support keeps us inspired and growing.